Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is getting a lot of hate from fans. It's just getting a lot of hate in general. And I don't understand where all this hate is coming from. I've seen a lot of reviews online from people, and I think some of the reviews are a bit harsh. Like, for instance, okay, people complain about MODOK in this film. I'm not a comic reader. I don't care about the comics. I just care about the films. That's all I know. I've heard of MODOK, and then I just don't know anything about MODOK really. I've seen the film, and that's it. And how they set up MODOK is, you watch Ant Man 1, and that villain in that film explains his story of how, he went into the quantum realm and Kang saved him and turned him into MODOK. And people say, well, it's just CGI monstrosity. His face is all blown up and it's just weird looking. And then even though the movie points out how weird it is, it doesn't mean anything. It's like a turd is a turd. And it's like, for me, not knowing anything about MODOK, I didn't mind it. I thought the explanation made sense. It was a bit rushed, and this flashbacks thing that they showed to explain it, I thought was a bit silly, but I was fine with it. I was like, all right, cool. And then I'm like, hey, I'm glad we're not in the real world anymore because that's the thing I complained about in Endgame was that the universe is at stake. Why are we having the final battle on Earth, man? Is lame. So like Quantumania, that's the biggest font in the title. It's Quantumania. So it's like we're going to the quantum realm. And I feel like, that's another thing people complain about is that they're rushing to get, to the quantum realm so we can get this going. And I do feel that way too. Like this one review that I saw, this guy said, okay, yeah, you got Cassie in here and she just made some MacGuffin because she's a genius and she made it in the basement and all this, but they don't show it. They don't take us through the process of her creating that and showing us a story of her getting ideas and her actually building the thing, which I thought would have been cool. But then I understand it's like we got to hurry up and get to what we need to get to so we can just hurry up and pump this out. So yeah, I do feel like, the first act, the beginning was a bit rushed, like the reviewer said. But I didn't mind it. I was just like, all right, you gave me an explanation. Now let's move on, get to the good stuff. So we get to the quantum realm, and to me, it's like Thor Ragnarok. Everything in the quantum realm is fantastic, and everything that's on Earth is stupid. So, like Thor Ragnarok, everything that took place in Asgard with Hela just felt kind of boring to me, whereas everything in Ragnarok was amazing. And that's what this is. And so it's like they go to the quantum realm, they meet these weird, interesting characters, and I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun because I remember when I first watched the film, I was very upset and I was not in a good mood. But by the end of the film, it lifted my spirits. So that contributes to my experience with the film, I guess. And that's a good thing. If a movie can make you feel good after feeling angry, then hey, that's kudos points to me. And so then another thing I hear about going back to MODOK is okay. So one reviewer said, "Well, if you take MODOK completely out of this film, it doesn't change anything," and I'm like, "That's a lie." What movie were you watching? Because it's like his arc, it's a generic arc. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm the bad guy, and then he needs his redemption because Kang's treating him like shit. Once Kang, like, threw him across the room, I was like, I know what's gonna happen here. Modoc's gonna turn on him. You see it coming a mile away, but it's like Kang is so OP in this film. I'm like, how are they gonna stop this guy? So they do this quick explanation of Michael Douglas and his aunts and how they built this colony, and I feel like it is a bit lame because they just kind of gloss over it. That would have been an interesting story. How did they build this colony? But now they gloss over it so they can get to the next thing. And I'm in for the ride. I'm just like, whatever, man, just dump it on me. I turn my brain off, watch it. I don't care. I'm an idiot. I'm just sitting there, just like, all right, whatever. And then the ants, they come in and they overwhelm Kang, right? He's just whooping everybody's behind, and then the ants come in and they try to save the day, but he puts up this force field, and I'm like, what's gonna happen? That was an intense moment to me. I'm like, how's he gonna get out of this? And then he just starts blasting the ants and stuff. So it's like, oh, he's gonna get out of it. And then MODOK comes in, and boom, he breaks through his force field, and he's like, I'm not a dick, and all this kind of stuff. Which I heard another reviewer thought that was lame. Me, I was like, whatever, man. I don't care. It's kind of funny, especially with how he looks and everything. It was funny. I thought MODOK was funny. Maybe MODOK's not supposed to be funny, but I thought it was funny. I don't know. It made me chuckle and laugh here and there. And then so he breaks the shield. He's like, I'm not a dick. And that's what defeats King. And then the ants overwhelm him and carry him away. And I was like, you know what? Kudos to that. Actually made sense to me. Because I'm like, yeah, King is so OP in here. He's whooping everybody. How are they going to defeat him? And then the ants come in, and I understand, like, a swarm of ants. Like when you walk down the street and you look in the crack of the sidewalks, or just in the sidewalk in general, and you see just an army of ants. It's so disgusting to me. But in the film, they establish that, they set that up, and it happens where he gets overwhelmed, and I'm like, I accept that. That makes sense. That seems like a reasonable explanation for King to feel overwhelmed by just an army of ants, like just thousands of ants. But he starts blasting them, and MODOK is the one who saves the day. Now, do I accept it? I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm fine with it. I don't care. I'm not mad at that. So all I'm saying is that I don't agree with that reviewer because yeah, you can't take MODOK out the film. As generic as his arc is, as silly as he may look, and as much as they pointed out, and that may not work, you can't take him out of the film because if you take him out of the film, then Kang wins. Kang wins. He defeats everyone. He wins. If MODOK hadn't showed up at the end to break through the shield, Kang probably would have won. He would have killed the ants and defeated everybody. But since he got distracted by MODOK, who, he treated like crap, then Kang wouldn't have got defeated. So there you go. Kang needs to be in the film. And then another thing I hear about is the Wasp. She's barely in the film. The title is Ant-Man and the Wasp, but they really put that emphasis on Quantumania. You can barely see the title Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's why I'm like, they should have just called the film Quantumania. Make it an Avengers movie. All the Avengers are in the quantum realm or some shit. I don't know. But yeah, I agree with those reviews about the Wasp is barely in the film. I understand that. I completely see that. It's not about her. It's about Ant-Man and his daughter. And another review that I saw, there was a guy who said something about the scene where Ant-Man makes multiple versions of himself, or he doesn't do it, but this thing that he's in creates it. And I thought it was a really good scene. It was funny because then you see his Baskin Robbins version show up, and it was really funny, and it was cool, and it was kind of disturbing too because then they start like growing big, and then they all start dying and stuff. I thought it was really cool visually and just so trippy. But he was like, nah, the reviewer was like, yeah, so he like builds this ant pile of himself, and then like in Thor Ragnarok or like in some other movie or show, this character just thinks about a person, and that's how they're able to overcome this obstacle. Where in Ant-Man in Quantumania it made sense how he overcame the obstacle because they even explain it in the film where it's like he makes multiple versions of himself, and they're all chaotic. They're all going all over the place because they all have different ideas. And like I said, I liked it when they all started dying. And then having his suit be red, I thought that was kind of disturbing because it's like you just see red dripping around and stuff, so it kind of looks like blood. I thought was cool. And when he starts making multiple versions of himself, he's caught in the middle. He's caught in this abyss. He can't get to the MacGuffin that he needs to get to. And I thought it was interesting and cool when he's like, all right, so all of these different versions of myself are thinking about these, they're all panicking. But what is the one thing that we all connect with, Cassie. And that's what this entire trilogy of Ant-Man films has been about, his damn daughter. It's always about his daughter. It's a family oriented series of films, I feel. These are family films. These aren't like your grandiose, like Captain America Civil War and stuff. These are just family films where it's like your kid can watch it, your baby can watch it, everybody can watch it. It's just a fun, innocent film, you know? And so it's like he started thinking about his daughter, and then they're all like, yeah, Cassie, and they all think about the same thing, and then they are all like, we're gonna help you. And I thought that was a very, pun intended, uplifting scene. So I enjoyed it visually, narrative wise. I thought that was one of the best scenes in the film. So what else is there? What else is there? Let me see. I don't know. For me, it's like I remember talking to a friend of mine about Batman and Robin and how when I was a kid, I really enjoyed Batman and Robin. Like me and my friend would act out scenes as we're watching the film. We would act out the scenes together of like when Batman's pulling Robin out of the water after unthawing him, and I'd be Batman, he'd be Robin and stuff, and we'd trade places. We were obsessed with Batman and Robin. And now as an adult, I'm like, this movie's stupid. But then I'm like, as a kid, I loved it. So I'm like, it's a kid's film. But now I'm like, as an adult, it's stupid. And my friend was like, well, what's wrong with just an innocent kid's film? It may be stupid to you, but, a kid, they're in love with it. So that's how I look at Ant-Man Quantumania. I look at it as just an innocent kids film that is just having innocent fun, and I'm pretty sure kids will enjoy it. And as an adult, I release my inner child, and I have a good time with it. It as my adult brain, yeah, it has a lot of narrative problems, and there's a lot of plot threads that they just gloss over. And yeah, I agree with a lot of reviewers that Bill Murray, I love him, but he just phoned it in here, and they're trying to have that thing that they had with Jeff Goldblum and Thor Ragnarok. I understand that. And, you know, the Wasp is barely in the film and all that. I agree with those kind of things, like narrative threads. Yeah, this movie's sloppy, it's messy, but I had a good time with it. Like I said, I released my inner child. I was upset. I watched it. I sat down, and I felt good by the end of it. And if a movie can do that, then yes, like I said before, kudos in my book. So yeah, there you go.